Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, all 11 years of it, 2014 to 2025, and the 7 starter sets that came out of those 11 years. And today we're going to talk about the concrete reality that 3 out of 7 are based on streaming shows. I want to talk about that and kind of start opening up what that means. Okay, so first of all, hard numbers. That's 42%. It's not half, but it's darn close, right? So almost half of all of the starter sets that came out in the last 11 that came out for D&D 5e, 3 of them are based on streaming shows. 0 of them are based on movies, on American movies. And by the way, there are only American streaming shows. There are no international products here, no international streaming shows. So let's take a look at what they are. So the 3 are the Rick and Morty starter set, the Stranger Things Tesla Hydra starter set. And we should just call that the Stranger Things Demogorgon starter set, because it literally has a Demogorgon miniature in it. And then we're about to get the Dungeons & Dragons Welcome to the Hellfire Club starter set. So that is all 3 of the streaming starter sets. The non-starter sets are Fandelver, Essentials, Stormwreck, and Borderlands, which is about to drop. Okay, so those are the, hey, you want to play D&D? Here's D&D. This is the world of D&D, and that's all there is. But like, the ramifications of those other 3 are absolutely massive. So one of the ramifications is Rick and Morty. Okay, so you have Rick and Morty, and they're like, hey, Rick and Morty is canon to the Dungeons & Dragons world. You're like, what? Like, because the moment you say that, Rick and Morty, one of the things they do, they use these portal guns, and they travel all over the universe. But far more important than that is Rick and Morty were in Space Jam 2. Okay? What's really bizarre is Space Jam 2 is, and this is incredible, listen to this. So Space Jam 2, you get this situation where Harry Potter was in that, right? Like, Lord of the Rings was in that. Like, there was a scene where literally they just crammed in as many intellectual properties that were attached to Warner Brothers as they could possibly get, right? Logically, Rick and Morty have access to all of those worlds. They're able to access them. That's incredible. That means that those worlds, in my humble opinion, are now canon to Dungeons & Dragons. And it is really unusual, because I am convinced that Warner Brothers executives signed that memo, signed that contract, but had no idea what they were connecting their worlds to. None. Like, and Grace Randolph talks about it all the time. She's like, the vast majority of Hollywood executives who are making movies never go to the movies, right? They don't really care about the product they're making. And boy, can you tell that. I think DC, the DC universe, right? You're like, did David Zaslav ever watch even a single movie, in the DCU? Did he watch ever any comic book movie? And you can also think of this guy who, constantly wears, a button-down shirt, a suit and a tie. You're like, yeah, this guy never goes to the movies. Are you kidding me? He's not going to take 2 hours away from spreadsheets, or whatever they do. And it is really wild. So I think it's really fascinating that out of 7 starter sets, 3 of them are based on streaming properties. And I do think this has massively changed Dungeons & Dragons. There's no two ways about it. It's really, really, really dramatically changed Dungeons & Dragons. So one of the things is Dungeons & Dragons is not an isolated world now. Eberron, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, clearly these worlds are connected to every other Dungeons & Dragons world through Spelljammer, through Planescape, and then through Arcavios, the Strixhaven world, it's connected to every single Magic the Gathering world ever. And through Rick and Morty, it's connected to pretty much every single intellectual property Warner Brothers had any success with. Game of Thrones was in there, I think, right? It's astounding. It's absolutely astounding. And I think this is a major driver of what the Dungeons and Dragons world and what is and why people are attracted to it. And it is a major driver on what is and what is not D&D canon, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.